It is, hey folks, it is another episode of Better Than the Talk podcast. It is five Black entrepreneurial women talking about all the types of things that impact us, things that are topical, things that we really care about. And when we left off from the last episode, one of the things that we said that we were going to focus on are relationships. So before we get started, I want to make sure that we all have a chance to introduce ourselves. Why don't we start first with Kimmy? Why don't you tell the folks out there who you are and what you are about?
My name is Kimmy Walker, and I am a school psychologist, a wellness coach, and the host of the Early Accountability Podcast and the founder of the Early Accountability Agency, where one of our things that we focus on right now are helping entrepreneurs with podcasting. So that's me.
Hey, Kimmy.
Hey.
Alicia, welcome to the stage. Tell everybody about yourself again.
Hey there. My name is Alicia Brown. I'm the CEO of Write with Mrs. Brown, where we help parents turn their children into exceptional writers. And for their high schoolers, we help them turn their essays into scholarships. I'm also an AI-informed educator and a home educator. I've been home educating for way over a decade. So that's me.
Nice to see you tonight.
Good to be seen. Good to be seen.
Sharon, how are you this evening?
I am here. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. I am here, but I am Sharon Jarrett, the CEO of Jarrett Affairs, which is an award-winning event management firm where we create game-changing conferences across the country on time, on target, and on budget. That's me, and I'm here.
Woo woo! It's so good to see you, and I'm glad that you returned from that London fog and that you are all in one piece. So welcome back. Good to see
you. Thank you. Thank you.
And then Miss Catherine, how you doing tonight?
I am here. I'm here, y'all. So I am Catherine Latoya Grant Austin, the Queen Treasurer. I am the CEO and co-founder of Art Financial Solutions, where we help business owners increase their revenue through financial strategy and automation so that they can build the business that they envision and live the life that they desire. Our motto is to leave trust funds and not trauma.
It is so good to see you, my friend. I'm glad that you are here and wouldn't want you anywhere else right now. And I am Summer C. Esqueri. I am the co-founder and CEO of Smart Wellness. We help gifted and high-achieving Black professionals have whole emotional wellness from the inside out. We look at the whole person, so not just what you achieve and how you are extracted upon, but how you could really have wellness from the inside out using our Smart Wellness framework. In addition to that, I am a cybersecurity executive for over 20 years and also look at AI governance and ethics, which is a really big thing that's impacting us, all of us, our children, ourselves, and our elders as well. And we might talk about that. But what we're really going to focus on tonight, folks, are relationships. And we're going to talk about relationships in a couple of different ways. The first is related to our giftedness. And a lot of us, particularly Black people, have a real difficult and storied relationship to us being gifted, right? The original IQ test and the like, and learning about giftedness and not giftedness was really steeped in eugenics. But what we know is that giftedness shows up in our brain, how we think, how we move, how we feel. And we're going to talk about that relationship as far as ourselves. We're going to talk about our relationships with ourselves and other people. So with that, I want to ask each of you your relationship to giftedness and how it shows up in your life, particularly because most of us who were quote unquote assessed as gifted, that happened in school. And so we got maybe pulled out in a special class and we did a thing. And then we got to college and nobody was talking about that. we got into the real world, whether it's corporate or entrepreneurs, and nobody's talking about our giftedness in that way, but it impacts us. So Sharon, I'm going to start with you. You in the last discussion we had really talked about the excellence and excelling. And so I have a sense that you have a unique relationship to your giftedness. So tell me about that and how it shows up in your life.
So, a couple of things. Keep in mind, I'm guessing I'm a little bit older than you all. Um, so for me, giftedness was not necessarily something we talked about or was talked about when I was in school, right? When you think about it, being gifted was maybe a thing, but it wasn't necessarily in practice in a lot of schools, especially down south, right? Either there was bias with regards to the referrals or whatever. So while it wasn't giftedness, if you were smart or you finished early, you were advanced. And if you were really good, you were exceptional. But the word gifted wasn't necessarily a thing, right? When I was coming through school. So what did I do? I carried that brilliance quietly. It wasn't necessarily giftedness. It was almost like recognized as for me, almost a debt, because I became that person people then relied on for stuff, right? Or again, being in class, I was that smart girl, or then you're almost bullied because you're the smart girl. But giftedness was not necessarily a term that was used mainstream when I was in high school.
Certainly understand that. And we all have that kind of complicated, like you said, we were special. We were the exceptional one. We might have been the magical, mystical Negro, right? And had that attention. But it was also, to your point, it sounds like it's been extracted upon, right? Because you are gifted, because you could do things fast. Well, then we need you to produce, right? And so there is a gifted trauma that we had that we don't even know because of that extraction, because of how you were able to perform in school.
So and let me take it a step further.
Sure.
In the classroom, it became you were the teacher's pet. Because you were gifted, you got to help the teacher more, right?
I was taking those notes from teacher to the principal, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly. So that's my experience with giftedness, for sure.
No, I appreciate that. Alicia, how about you? So what is your experience in two kind of frames, for yourself personally and as a parent of gifted and otherwise neurodiverse children?
Ooh, yeah, that one is really complex for me. I'll probably focus on my kids and then my own experience. So I have two children who are, in a traditional sense, labeled as gifted in a school sense. And then I have two children who we navigated needing supports for. So my children who are typically labeled as gifted in the way the school system sees it, definitely were celebrated in their giftedness, but my other children who are gifted in areas that don't necessarily show up on the test always felt less than. So I would say the relationship that I have with giftedness in my kid, I have this book called How Am I Smart? I love this book because it talks about multiple intelligences. So one of the conversations I've had to have, particularly with one of my children who is extremely gifted in so many areas, just not on areas that show up on a test. I love how this author, Dr. Karen Coe, or Kathy Coe rather, says the question isn't, am I smart? It's how am I smart? And so I think I share the experience with my children who are neurodivergent, that my giftedness didn't show up on tests necessarily. It showed up in different areas of my life. And so I have really appreciated this resource and other resources that allow us to define giftedness in areas that are not just traditional in nature.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because the testing was for kind of cognitive, logical types of giftedness. And what we know is that giftedness shows up in all types of ways, like kinesthetically, like bodily, right? There's also emotional giftedness. There's existential or spiritual giftedness. There's giftedness in a lot of different realms. And the testing, if you will, within a school is this very narrow view. It's very pressurized, and that scenario is really not helpful for lots of children. And so lots of kids can feel like, well, am I gifted or am I not? And I understand that experience. I have two daughters, and I'll get into it later, but the way that that lands for both of them and their lived experience has really had an impact, I think, on the both of them, as well as me as well. So Kimmy, I'm interested to hear from you. You said that you are, right, you're a child psychologist, you deal with the mind, you deal with these different things. So you've seen it in children, and how has that impacted you in your own exceptional ways, right? Because you are definitely an exceptional person. As we've gotten to know each other, I could see it. I see the gifts. So tell me how that lands for you.
Okay. Well, so and to clarify, I'm a school psychologist. So I primarily work, well, I can work across the lifespan, but primarily 2 through 21, right? So it's going to be looking more at educational impact, vocational impact of learning, cognitive abilities, executive functioning skills. I think the biggest thing too I've learned, whether it was doing early childhood work or elementary, middle, high school, college, or even, early adulthood or into adulthood, is that people have different abilities, and it's important for us to recognize that strengths don't always look the same for everyone. But even when there is a struggle or something that's more difficult, it's even more important for us to dig deeper to see where their strengths are, right? So that those can be showcased, and so those are expanded on. I know like a big one in the elementary level is going to be like students who may not read or have more difficulty with reading. But a lot of times there's a lot of other tangible skills that people may have, or that students may have, or a lot of other strengths that may not be seen. But if somebody sees that reading is a struggle, like whether it's parents or teachers, it's a really big like red flag. So much so that there may be other areas, especially in the elementary, like writing or math, that may get pushed a little bit kind of on the back burner if somebody's struggling with it, because it's kind of not what is so prevalent or what's pushed out there. So we hear dyslexia all the time. We hear about ADHD all the time. We hear about autism all the time. But when people show up differently or have different needs, I think it's important for us, like I said, to look at those strengths, but also to understand too that there may be some people who have some silent struggles that are not acknowledged either, right? And what does that look like? And how are they silenced as well too? And what is the snowball effect of that? So I know as far as testing for adults, I've done a significant amount of testing for adults who felt they may have had a learning disability. And it almost always is in an area that's not reading, right? Because people always put in enough stuff to just kind of push that to the side, or they could get by, and then it finally just hit a point where, okay, crash, I can't get past this course, or I can't get past this, or I'm having difficulty at my job. And like, well, what were your grades like? Well, it was just enough to kind of get by. But when it's the kids with reading, or we think it's dyslexia, it's like, stop every single thing. And there's education that needs to take place in that when it comes to people who are educators, when it comes to parents as well too. So there's institutes that are there, like Dyslexia Institute, that, oh, bring your child here. I'm probably gonna tell you your child got dyslexia, right? I'm gonna charge you all this for a test, and I'm gonna tell you how we can help you with it. So I think it shows the importance of multidisciplinary approach to things, and also to just looking at some of the like silent struggles that may be there for children that aren't mainstream. Just like you said about like giftedness, or what does that look like? But there's other things that people might have difficulty with, and it doesn't seem as if it's such a big deal, right? But what is the long-term effect of that? And that's something that affects people into adulthood.
Absolutely. And I think some of the things that you've talked about are very interesting when we're talking about support needs. And Catherine, I want to go to you because I think you know, as we've talked and as we have worked together and done other things, there is an assumption that when somebody is gifted, that they are hyper independent and they don't need help with anything. Right. So you talk about the neurodiversity where there might be some support needs because of dyscalculia or dyslexia or other kind of areas of learning that need support. But there's also an assumption for gifted people that you should be good at everything and you don't need help with anything. And
Yep.
so, Catherine, I want you to kind of talk about that with your experience with giftedness, because I do think in our conversations that has shown up for you. And I wanted you to talk about your experience and the impact of that.
Yeah, so you hit it on the nail. I think that even like myself, but even with my kids, right? Like when you see a struggle in an area, and even as a parent, right? Like I'm gonna put it out there. Even as a parent, I used to be like, no, I know you smart. I know you know better, right? Like not realizing, you know, that they still need help, right? They're still growing. We're still growing, right? You can be gifted and still need help. And so for me personally, that has been a learning. That has been a learning because part of the giftedness is I know that I can do this, right? And so it's almost like you know your capabilities because you've relied on them and soared for so long that when you have the struggle, you're like, you're baffled. You're like, what is going on, right? Like it's almost like not me, right? And so we actually, and I'll say we, right? But we actually harm ourselves more in that way because we don't give ourselves grace, knowing that okay, yes, this I may not be great in this area, like I may need help in this area. And so yes, for me, I will say as I continue to grow and I navigate different waters, I realize like, you know, girl, you great. You great. And majority of the things you figured out and majority of the things are like second nature, easy. But not everything. And it's okay. It doesn't make me less smart, it doesn't make me less gifted. It actually allows me to kind of see the span and the spectrum of how gifted I am, but also how human I am.
Well, it's that part, right? And there are lots of assumptions on the brain. And I'm not a neuroscientist. I study a lot on the brain. I geek out on that. And one of the things that we don't have an appreciation for is that there are some places that there's asynchrony in our brain. So there might be some places that are really, really advanced, and then there might be some other places that are not, right? And it's not like a one-to-one. It's not like they've been able to map how that works. And so there might be areas where there is advanced specialty, and it doesn't make you special. It doesn't make you like smart, but it's how your brain is wired and how it functions. And other places where there's it may not be as advanced. It might be where you are, your age. It might also be delayed. And so I think that there's a lot that we don't have an appreciation for because no one ever has taken the time for us to understand how all these things interplay and work, right? We also don't have an appreciation for when there potentially is giftedness that you hold different things, like emotionally, you might feel things really strongly. Physically, there's all these different things that none of us know about. It was just like, you smart, and how much can we get out of you because you smart? Family, friends, society, period. Right. And then you a special Negro, like you different from the rest of the Black people, like you kind of maybe meet white people, but maybe not. Like it's just so weird and it's so layered, and we have no idea that we're swimming in these waters.
And
So
Summer, I also just want to say this on in two ways.
yes.
So I talk about our kids because we are gifted, right?
Yep.
And because of that, and also being raised in certain eras, right? Sharon, myself, right? Like, so the way that we think, and then this next generation and their giftedness and what we know that we would do versus what they would do, it, for me, I feel like I am on a learning journey. A learning journey that it doesn't matter how smart I am, how gifted I am learning. I am constantly learning. And, you know, I look at other parents, and sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow.
Yep.
Right? Because just imagine that this whole time you are the smart one, people are coming to you, this, that, and the third, and then now you're navigating the next generation of gifted individuals, but they don't think, walk, talk like you.
That part.
Well, that's the other kind of thing, right? We assume because of the attention that we received and the accolades and the exceptionalism that our way is the way versus it is a type of way, right?
Correct.
And so navigating that and having the humility and also the vulnerability and the courage to tell our kids, like, or whomever, it could be our kids, it could be elders, it could be whomever that we're in relationship with, I don't know. And I don't have the answers, right? Like us being able to say, I don't know,
It's
I'm
hard.
not sure. That's a good question.
It's
I might need to get back to you.
Mhm.
That is a new muscle for us because of
Yep.
the environments that we have been in that we talked about in our last discussion, right? And what is coming up really here. And part of what I want to talk about based on what you just said, and Sharon, I'm interested in you discussing this. We're talking about like high functioning, right? Which is actually like high masking. Like I'm going to put on that mask. And so you're looking fine or you have it all, right? You mentioned your husband in the last time when you did all this work and you did all this thing. That was a masking, right? Tell us about that struggle of having that mask, but really needing to put it down because of the labor and the impact on you.
Good evening, Doc.
Hey, Doc. And I think you're on mute. I can't hear you, Sharon.
Nope, you still on mute.
Yeah.
I read your lips though.
You're unmuted now.
Okay, I'm off mute now. You're absolutely right. You know what came up for me when I was thinking about this topic, because I am able to do. I thrive when I have to solve something in record time, right? For an event, it could be the speaker, for example. Speaker lands in Atlanta and I got to get them cross town in 30 minutes. Okay, what does that look like, right? And you make it happen. So I thrive on that. But what I realized what was happening with my team, with my husband, with any scenario, I became the person that could just fix it, right? Whatever that thing is, I can fix it. So then everybody's coming to me to fix it. But who's fixing Sharon? Who's taking time when I have the issue, right? So that's how that showed up. So for me, my team knows now when stuff happens on the event day, Miss Sharon is not going to answer the phone, because I bet you if I don't answer the phone, you'll figure it out, right? Because if I keep this mask of I got it and I can fix it, come to me and just let me do it, I'm the one showing up at the event looking crazy, right? Because I didn't take the time to get myself together. Even preparing for this. Last night, instead of me just kind of getting ready or whatever, I'm taking down my hair, forgetting you got to be on camera tomorrow for an event, right? So I'm like, okay, why didn't my calendar say? Why didn't I think to look, ahead to say I had this podcast? Because I was busy helping somebody else get out of a jam, right? Taking time to prepare myself for stuff. So I had to set boundaries. Like, what are those boundaries? Don't call me before 8 a.m. in the morning. Don't text me before 8 a.m. in the morning. I can't fix it. Family has an emergency. I'm going to let you work it out for 72 hours and then I'll call you.
That's right.
Okay. And then I'll call you. So for me, I had to set boundaries. I had to remember while you have this persona of being able to fix everything, you can do that at the expense of fixing yourself.
Mm.
And so let me ask you, when you first started practicing that, what did you feel in your body? Because I'm sure it wasn't something like, okay, I'm gonna have boundaries now, boop, I'm gonna do it, and now I'm in the movement of boundaries, and don't call me. But when you first started practicing that, like if you could go back to that, how did you feel? What was coming up for you?
Anxiety, because can they do it without me? It was anxiety.
Let's go like next level, right below anxiety. What is that anxiety? What was that anxiety communicating? What was it saying to you?
They can't do it like me.
I bet you can't do it like me.
I
know you're supposed to be serious, but I'm sorry.
It's all good. Yeah. And if they can't do it like you, then what? So what? I want you to go just like.
But I had to get to that point though. So what?
Yeah.
Because for me, it was. Here's the thing: what I know about myself, I deal with. I command excellence of myself and of others, right? Mm-hmm. So what I had to get to understand, excellence can look different for other people. Uh-huh. Right? It looks different for them. So I had to get to that point. But before that, before I got to that point, before I started setting the boundaries, it was hard. It was hard. They're not going to show up like Sharon. They're not going to do it, or whatever. It was hard.
And so what does that mean? Does that mean that it impacted your sense of belonging? Did that impact your sense of safety? Right? Like, they're not going to do it like me. Okay. And I'm feeling that anxiety. Okay. But that anxiety, I just want you to go just a little bit deeper there, because that was saying something, right? Like that's a response. That's a survival kind of response of, I have anxiety because they're not going to do it like me. And then what? There's something there that I'm just trying to scratch at for you.
Well, I didn't know there was going to be a coaching session, but
this ain't no. Oh Lord.
My name is on this. My name is on this, right? I am not a. I just had this conversation. Unfortunately, I'm not a make the best of it kind of girl. Right? I have high expectations. I expect my expectations of others. I had to lower some, but I do have high expectations of others. When I go places, I have high expectations for that event, right? I'm not, you get there and it's not working out and let's just make the most of it. You get on vacation and the hotel messed up, let's make the most of it. I can't do that. That's not me. I can't do that. So yeah.
I got you. No, I'm not coaching you. I was just kidding. Good Lord. Lord of mercy.
Can I ask you a question, Coach Summer, since she coaching and not coaching, whatever we in? Just saying.
Go for it.
So Sharon said something and it sparked something in me. The statement was, I have to fix it. Right. And so she said she set boundaries. Mm-hmm. One of the things, so going through that process, setting the boundaries, and I would love for everybody to chime in, or it could just be me. When I have an issue and I don't have a solution, when I tell you your girl goes in a spiral, I go in a spiral because one of the things that's attached, I'm assuming directly or indirectly, Coach Summer gonna get us together, is that as gifted, we're so used to having the answer. That's how we thrive. We get the solution, we go to the next. We get the solution, we go to the next. And when
that's not how you thrive, though. It's how you survived. But keep going.
I told you it's Coach Summer. So okay. Right. So Coach Summer, talk to us about it, about surviving, because I can only imagine, I'm speaking for myself, but I see the smiles and the head nods, that is indirectly how we've been wired in our giftedness to be able to problem solve and move to the next. We don't sit in it. We making it happen. But when we don't, because, you know, God forbid you don't have the answer because you're human, it sends us in a spiral. So talk to us, Coach Summer.
Help us.
Well, one of the things that I'm going to say is that when you get to that, right, you're no longer using executive functioning. You're not using like your prefrontal cortex. You're now in like fight, flight, freeze, because now I'm in danger, right? What you are noticing is I'm now in danger. So all the stuff here, now it all goes away. And you are in that like very basic, what do I need to do for survival? That's where that spiral is, because you're seeing this as a lack of safety. And there's something that happened, right? There's something that happened way, way, way long time ago where you had an experience where when you didn't have the answer, when you didn't have it, something went wrong. Right. And so you're not going to have that situation ever again. Right. This is a strategy of I'm not going to do that. For some gifted people, they may ruminate, right? Like not everybody has it fast. And to your point, it makes a lot of sense of I've always done this. And now that I don't, oh shit. Because the other question is, am I no longer gifted? Like, do I no longer have this skill?
Because is that the part of why can't I figure this out?
Yes. And like, oh my gosh. And if I can't figure this out, does this mean that this is lost and gone forever? As opposed to it being a situation where you're able to like sit still and say, hey, I don't, and can I get somebody else? But we're past all of that. We're in that, you know, primal kind of brain that you don't have that ability to have that type of elevated thinking. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
But yes,
It's not a but. It's not a but. I think it's just it's a part. It's a part of us. And but there is a but in a good way. What you said makes sense, because anytime it goes back to what Sharon said, and I always use the phrase, I got me. If nobody else don't have me, I got me. Right.
Think about that. Where did that come from? Right. Where did that come from? Survival.
I told you, right? Yeah. Absolutely. It came from survival. It came from I'm going to make sure that I got it. Absolutely. But so why is that though? Like how does that pain, giftedness, and survive, like how does that all mesh together? Because if you were just thinking about it isolated, then you wouldn't, like, I mean, you would, Coach Summer, because you know, but we wouldn't, right? So how do they all play a part? Because you have 4 women nodding to what you're saying, but we all have walked a different journey of life, right? But we're all saying the same thing. So how does that play together?
How it plays together is what you just said, right? Because the other thing that you're not including in here that we all demonstrate and represent is being Black women in this society. Right? If we were in different types of communal societies, this panic about I need to figure this out would not even be there. So part of what you're talking about is, it is early, and we could use trauma, small t, not like big trauma, but that there were things in place when you were younger that you needed this, or that whenever you did things fast, you got a response, right? You got a response to say, I need to keep this up. I got some kind of attention. And because I got that kind of attention, I'm going to keep doing this. Right? It's the attention of she's so smart, or it's the attention of your family leaning on you because you're the one who's the strong one. And that whole like thing that I am Black in this society, right? Like there's all kinds of stuff that's coming up in here. It's the racial stuff, it's being invisible or ignored, because that's the other thing. If you don't come up with it, then who are you? So this also gets into who you are as far as I'm Catherine, dot, 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 dot. And part of being Catherine is I will rely on myself and I'm smart and I'm gifted and I've elevated and all this other kind of stuff. That potentially is identity shifting. And so if you're not that person, then who are you? So that's another piece in there. And the other thing, to your point, like a lot of it comes easy. My best friend and I had this discussion and she was like, you know, because I was thinking about this as like a way of manipulating, because I could do things well and because I can make choice, I would do that for other people. And if I don't do that, are they still going to stay around?
Wow.
Wow. Relationship.
Right? Do you still get that attention from whomever? Your family, right? Sharon last time was like, hey, let me make sure y'all heard. And I know that was because of the danger that she felt. She didn't need to justify what she said.
Right.
But we do that because of a sense of belonging, right? It might be abandonment stuff that you're dealing with. It depends.
Yeah.
How was that landing on you, Miss Catherine, before we go to Alicia?
We going to Alicia. I'm good. I ain't going there with you today, Summer. Coach Summer. No. It is landing. It is landing. As you were speaking, you know, part of me was like, well, if all I got to do is not answer to get them away, then maybe that's what I need to be doing. But it's not in me. So I'm processing what you're saying. Yeah. And then the whole process of, like Sharon was saying, putting the boundaries in place and just understanding where it's coming from. No, it landed very well.
And we actually have not been raised to have boundaries, right? Before we get to Alicia, right? So even that, like, okay, I'm going to put these boundaries in place and how dare you, right?
Right.
You have such audacity to do this.
Right.
Because you've trained people and we have a society, right? Like, even if we think about the vice president, and my brain is like all over the place. I'm going to get to you, Alicia, in a minute. Even when we think about when the vice president was running for the presidency, in addition to all of the things that she was doing and her experience, part of what she also presented was that she likes to cook at home, right? She likes to serve in that way. So do you understand, like, how we have to be like all things to everybody just to try to get the attention or the worthiness? So that also identity, worthiness, all of that is coming up for you when it's, if I can't do this, that spiral is coming behind the scenes. You don't even know how like multi-layered it is. Alicia, I see you sitting there and I see the wheels is turning. I see it. What say you? Because things are coming up for you.
Yeah, there's a lot that's coming up for me that I think I need to take to counseling or something. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot that you said, Catherine. I was just like, I definitely spiral. I hate to not know something. Like, I can't not know. I must know. So I'm like, what is that? What is that? I think the thing that's really sparking my curiosity right now is when you talked about, like, if we were in an environment where there was communal giftedness practice. I'm like, I don't know. Talk about that more, because I'm not even sure I know how to unpack that, and I want to experience that, but I don't know that I've ever experienced that before. So can you unpack that for us a little bit more?
Yeah, so I think like part of it is we live in a society that's very individualistic. And so there's a lot of reliance on one person, and we all carry that, right? And so when I'm talking about being in communal societies, it was reliant on just one person. It was multiple people that had to be involved. I'm sorry, y'all. Just one.
The
Oh my
dog.
God, was like, I don't know what you talking about, but let me tell you what's going on over here. I need
I'm
you to
sorry.
be involved because I got to go.
So going back to what I was saying, like in a communal society, it's not all dependent on one person. And also in communal societies, like African communal societies, and I would venture to say in other indigenous communal societies, the folks who had different types of neurodiversity were seen and they were elevated to special positions, right? And it was a special position within the society at large. So with you going back, Alicia, when you're saying, how does this look like? And I must know everything. That's because you're trying to play every role. When we don't need to play every role, but we're conditioned that way. Right. So what would it look like? And I know like you have a spouse and y'all have partnership and you have children, but there still is a way that your orientation is, I have to be the one. What does it look like when there is a shared responsibility and a shared dynamic?
That's a great question. I think that that's something we need to continue to work toward, because I don't know that I have really practiced that looking shared. I mean, there's definitely a shared responsibilities and things of that nature, but I think that we are beginning to have those conversations as we get older, and the dynamics of our relationship are the dynamics of our family are changing with our kids getting older, and just, you know, peri menopause is also like, hold up, some things have to change. I have different needs. I can't operate like this and stay healthy anymore. So I don't know.
And the nuclear family is a farce, right? The nuclear family is a farce.
That part. So yeah, I think I need to explore that, because I've just been caught up in the culture in which I live, and I think it's time for me to be exposed to something new and something healthier.
Got it. Got it. So I know that we're close to time, and we haven't even like begun to scratch the surface.
I think there needs to be a part 2.
Yeah.
I do think that there needs to be a part 2. And you know, Kimmy, I want to make sure that you're in this as well. You know, what is your experience with all of this? And not as a clinician, right? Not as an expert, as your personal lived experience as you're navigating some of these things that we're talking about.
I would say it varies. So something I'm not the expert in, you mean?
No, I mean just how this lands on you as far as like your gift. I'll shift it up a little bit for you, and this is something that I think might be interesting. You talked about like your special interest, right? That you can have like a real specific focus, and you are lasered in. How do you work through that with other people that you're in relationship with, whether it's your colleagues, whether it's your loved ones? How do you navigate being able to satisfy that need of having those laser focused things that you want to spend time and concentrate on because they feed you?
One of the big things I would say, and I'm not consistent with it, is scheduling time to do it. And one of the bigger things, and I tell this a lot, this is something you talk about a lot on my podcast, I just understanding that it might be a different group of people that you vibe or mesh with that. So I don't know if you like to watch football. I'm not going to try to drag my friend who doesn't like football to watch football with me, right? It doesn't make any sense, right? And that might be your best friend, but they don't have to operate and be, always have such close proximity into you and everything. So I think that too comes with, I think maybe even to what Sharon was talking about, like responsibility or feeling you have to do things or feeling that people have to be in all these certain areas. And I think sometimes we just have to accept that there might be some things you just enjoy doing by yourself.
And were you always in that mode of there's things I just enjoy doing by myself, I just do it? Or did you have to come to that? And what kind of agreements did you have to make for that to happen?
Ooh, well, if it's something like that and I don't want to have to be like a teacher or I think it's the same thing. You kind of need to set some time away for it. Whether it means you got to get out the house, things of that nature. But if that's something that brings you peace and you want to have peace with it, I think you have to first create that environment for yourselves and be consistent with it. And if you have I know a lot of people may have younger children, just set boundaries if it's something you do when they go to bed or what have you, but still make time and place for it. And if you understand that I'm not going to be able to do this and enjoy it fully, this maybe I have to do it next week, or, I'm going to do it on this day. But I do think it's important to still make time for yourself and still make time for those things because that's something we often neglect to do. Mm-hmm. And it just keeps snowballing. And then it's just, you don't have time for it. And we keep saying how busy we are.
Yeah.
We have time for everything else, right? And there's a lot of other things we have time for. So I do think that's important. But yeah, I think it is important too to just be able to accept having different roles, different people with different roles, or not necessarily feeling that there are things that have to be fulfilled by other people.
Yeah. And so how did that work? This is the last question. How did that work for your team? Like, did you have to have certain discussions with your team? Did you have to change the cadence of how you interacted with them? Did you have to set other kind of agreements?
I'll say it's always a work in progress. So some things have changed and, I made a decision and it wasn't a good decision and go back and change back. Or I felt like I needed to do a certain way. And then I looked at it and I was like, well, this doesn't necessarily make sense. Or I'm looking at the aftermath and is it better for me to be right? Or is it better for me to be like, hey, I'm a human like y'all too. So that just didn't work. We're going to dust ourselves off and try something else. But I think it's important to just remind people that we're humans too. We don't always get it right. And also too, I think that's where that being able to just have some ego checks with yourself, whether it's in a parenting role or this and that, do you think that you are always the superior? You are always the expert, or can you be right? Can you be wrong sometimes, right? Or how do you handle that? Do you handle being wrong the same way you handle being right? With grace. And so that, I think that's where that comes a little bit of the ego piece that sometimes we do have to check too ourselves. So I feel like there's responsibility in that as well. And sometimes we do, whether it's going to your children, going to your family, like sometimes we just did not have it right, or you just made a mistake, or you didn't make the best decision.
How human of you.
Right.
How human of you.
But how do we treat those around us when they do, so I think it's a two-way street.
Yeah, no, I definitely. This is going to be the last question for y'all, and then we'll close things on out. And I do think that we need a part 2. We talked about boundaries, right? Mm-hmm. And we've talked about honoring ourselves and practicing things differently. So we all have conflict. Conflict is in life. If you don't have conflict, clearly you're not living. Talk to me about, and Catherine, I'm going to start with you, where you had a recent rupture, and you handled it differently because of the boundaries and how you are honoring your brain and your body more.
Mm-hmm. I had a few ruptures.
Just one.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at all of them, actually, it's just been the same thing. Protect my peace. Protect my peace. It's hard. It's hard. So again, probably not speaking for everybody, but y'all can relate. I see red when I know I'm right, and you trying to tell me something different, right? Like I see red, and it's just like no. And so I'm coming with the facts. I'm coming with all of the stuff. But my peace. Sometimes the battle is not worth fighting. It's just not. It's just not. And I'm learning that. And I feel like it hasn't been easy, but it's been worth it. It's been worth it because when you are in that conflict and when you only see red and you ready to go to war, right? For something that may or may not be worth it. I'm not going to always say it's not worth it because sometimes, but all of the other things that go with it, like for me, I'm getting upset. My blood pressure is getting high. I'm fatigued. I'm angry. I got a headache. Like all of these symptoms in my body that's going on, right? And it's like this ripple effect. And so, yes, conflict, I've had to learn how to relearn handling it. But most importantly, it's about protecting my peace. And I'm okay with walking away. I wasn't beforehand, right? Because that meant I was a punk. And who's that? Who? Not me. But now it's not even worth it, right? Like, and I just think about all of the things that I've had to relearn in order to protect my peace.
And so you're having a different relationship with, again, identity. Because who is determining that you are the punk?
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And it's the experiences, the things that are said, the things that are not said, but the actions, right, that we've seen growing up, our experiences, everything. Society, right? No, I'm not a Black angry woman. I'm actually really, I love joking around and I love being a free spirit, right? But my experiences, I had to be hard. Right? And now I'm in a stage of my life that I will continue to be in where I don't have to be hard. I don't have anything that I need to prove. And guess what? If you think I'm a punk, then great. Go your way. I'll go my way. That's fine. Right? I don't have anything to prove. I'm okay with all of that. But it is and has been society, my experience, my family, everything telling me to be this way or having to be this way, like you said, from survival or having to do these things because that's what was expected. And now it's just like, no, my peace for my health, my peace for longevity of life, my peace for my children that are looking at me and how I handle things so that they don't have to go on a path to unlearn and relearn some things. Yeah.
And to your point, there's a huge cost to your former way, right? That pressure, that headache, that cortisol going through your body, like you just can't keep having that happen again and again and again because it's weathering and it's wearing you down. Absolutely. Right? So I definitely understand that, and peace to you looks differently, and it demonstrates more vulnerability. It demonstrates not responding, and that is the response, right? It's not reacting. I want to get into more of that with you probably in our next time together. Alicia, I know we only have a few more minutes. Alicia, how about you, where you've had a rupture and that you're now handling it differently because you're honoring you're honoring this, you're honoring your brain, you're honoring your body, you're honoring being a perimenopausal Black woman, right? And all of what that means.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I would say there is multiple layers of honor that's happening at this point in my life. So as I am re-establishing a relationship with myself, the assignment you gave us to like write an apology to ourselves, I definitely want to talk about that on part 2 because that was really emotional for me. But it also, like, the other thing that I am learning is to honor other people, and I'm mostly speaking about the relationship I have with my family, because we all put on these roles, like we put on this we get a script that gives us our lines, right? And then at some point we're like, we can't, I don't want to say that. This doesn't fit me. And so I think for me, I'm learning to rewrite the script for myself. I'm learning to allow my husband, who is my partner, to rewrite the lines as well, and to respect what he needs and what that might look like and how I show up for him. I'm learning to say what I need, which is something I had not done. My friends and I had laughed. I think she was a psychologist or something, but she was saying a lot of people get divorced like after 40 because like all the things you didn't say, and you're like in perimenopause, you're like, I'm just saying all the things, and then the spouse is like, wait, who are you now? So my husband and I are definitely renegotiating our relationship because I'm different for sure, and we have different needs, and I'm doing the same thing with my kids. Like I tell my kids all the time, like, just because I'm your mother does not mean I get access to you. That's something I have to earn in relationship with you. And that means that you can communicate your boundary. And if I want to continue to be in relationship with you, I need to honor that. So I think for me, I'm learning to give myself, I'm learning to rewrite those scripts. I'm learning to apologize to myself for surviving and acting a certain way up to this point because of survival. And I'm learning to release, I don't know, the burden I might have been prior to others in my family as I try to grow as well.
Definitely. No, I appreciate that. And we do need to talk about that repair work and the song. It was also the song.
That was hard. I had a hard time finding a song for myself. That the sorry part, the apology letter, I could do. It was really emotional, really still hard to write. But I'm like, I had a hard time finding a song for myself. I don't know. I might need to borrow some of y'all's songs.
I'm so see those intimate conversations in the mirror is what keeps me peaceful out there, because then I could eat, in the mirror. So I'm still trying to find a soft song.
Right, a soft song, right? I have like other songs. I have like light songs, but soft. I'm working on the soft part.
Soft life, soft era.
I get it. And to close us out, and I'm so grateful for y'all being like honest and curious and just like, yo, I know if I'm dealing with this, at least the other women on this are also dealing with it, and Sharon as well, and she had to drop. But just to kind of close it out, Kimmy, for you, how has rupture been different and repair from rupture been different as you honor more of who you are?
Oh, I would say trying to see the signs before, not to say that it won't ever happen, because some things just hit us differently. But I do believe a lot of it is, and you talk a lot about this, like maybe ignoring some signs in your body and your being that are kind of things are going, and it goes all back. Everybody's busy. You have this to do, or you have all these responsibilities. And if some of the things could have been addressed then, or started to do some of the work, the grounding work, then it may not have went to that. And I'm not saying that bad things won't happen, right? Because life will still happen. But I think being able to understand how you respond in different situations when something is starting to get out of control or to be overwhelming.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that you're learning to trust not your thinking brain, but the other parts of you, right? Your intuition, when your body is sending you messages, and not that message of knocking you out, but more of those whispers, more of those other things, right? Like,
right,
right, like
all the time. Really
something's going on here, right? Or I'm leaning forward, or something's going on, or like I'm feeling that I'm clenching my jaw. Say that again.
So mine is the head tilt. I'll be like,
that part. I do the same thing. Or I scrunch my face, right? It looked like something stank. And it nothing. I'm just trying to understand what's going on, right? With my glasses on, right? It's not like I can't see, but I'm trying to like see through my eyes. All of this, I'm trying to understand.
Yep.
And so that I had tell too, like if I'm, right? Then that means something is going on and I have to pay attention. And is it to pay attention to what is actually going on right here or something else? Right. And having what I'm hearing you also say is that you're starting to practice more discernment with your body. Right. And taking some time with that. So
mindfulness. I think it's some mindfulness in there too. You know what I mean? And I think that honestly, really comes a lot to, for call it whatever you want to call it, meditation or the act of just listening,
sitting, yeah,
being,
yeah. And I don't know what society or what spiritual practice or what religion does not have some type of suggestion or part of the practice of the spirituality to be able to sit and to be still, right? Like that being still is part of what is necessary as a human, right? Like even animals, that they still what's going on?
But I think we have to ask, call, pray, those kind of things that are usually like a saying or doing versus a lot of the be still and listen or be still and wait. Can you see those signs? And I think maybe that is not as promoted or glorified as much. But it is. You say, hey, your prayers, meditations, when you listen. You listen for the answers, right? So I think that piece is definitely overlooked.
Yeah, and not to bypass, right? This is not spiritual bypassing, and this is not disassociation. This is like, can I be in the stillness and experience what is, and build that capacity with that capability?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do, especially if everything around you is chaos.
That part. Especially now.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yes. Oh yeah, absolutely.
So ladies, it has been real. I think we're going to have to like put a pin in it for now. We haven't even scratched the surface of relationships. We've just talked a little bit about the giftedness, right? And what is one thing that you would like to say to close us out as we are, closing out, ending, that you've either learned today or something that you want to like pull the thread on moving forward because you're really in a curious space about it? And Alicia, I'll start with you.
Yeah, mine's definitely leaning into practicing communal giftedness for sure. Like I definitely want to lean into learning more about that and what does that look like for me to practice that in my day-to-day living.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. Catherine, how about you?
I Everything. Just understanding giftedness and survival.
Mm,
Yeah.
We will explore that more.
That was
Yeah.
number
Keep
2
going.
on my list.
And the fact that there is a relationship now that you're willing to dance with being gifted as an adult,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because this is a whole new world that we haven't explored. So that's beautiful, and that's my jam. That's my thing. So we're gonna go into some deep waters about that. Kimmy, how about you?
I'd say my biggest takeaway is normalizing I don't know.
That part.
And that it is okay. And it does not diminish your value or your worth.
Yeah, I think even now too, especially people like government workers. Sometimes you just don't know. You don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think, go ahead, Catherine.
I was just going to say, I'm okay with not knowing. I think to take it a step further, it's not knowing, but also not feeling the urge to need to know. Because I'm okay with not knowing. I don't know. But then there's an element where it's just like, but why don't I know? Now I need to go and find out. Right? That whole piece. Sometimes that's not even necessary. That I don't know is the answer and it's done and it's the end, right? That's the answer and it's the end. But I don't feel like the brain is wired that way for giftedness. So.
And right, for your own well-being, is it where you notice that, but I need to know, or why don't I know? This goes back to Kimmy saying, like, the noticing and the being still. That may always come up for you, Catherine, until you take your last breath. But can you be in a practice of, I notice that, I feel that, and then I can get back and ground and center. Sometimes you are going to go down that rabbit hole because of your giftedness. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then sometimes I'm just going to be with the discomfort of this and be curious about that and be still with that. Right? So that might always come up because of the way your brain is wired and also how you've been conditioned. It might be a both and.
I'm with Kimmy on this one. We ready to explore.
And what I will say, I think what I'm sitting with is the tension of how all of this is showing up for us. Right? Especially now that we're sitting with this topic and the relationship with it, like that tension and that curiosity. And do I have the capacity to be in the unknown with it? Right? Because now I'm ready to go do some research too. Right? Some of your questions, Catherine.
You better go to sleep.
I need to go to sleep. And see, then there's that. I need to go to sleep. So we will be back, folks. We appreciate you joining Better Than the Talk podcast. Please share. Please put comments wherever you saw this. We will be back in 2 weeks. So what date is that? That's what, the 21st. The 21st. So October 21st. We'll make sure we put it out more, but share it, right? I know you know somebody that would really enjoy this conversation, and not only enjoy the conversation, but it's fodder for you and that person to discuss and explore, right? We're talking about community work. And so we're looking forward to having you all in the comments, sharing, coming in, and knowing that we all are in a place of exploration. Nobody has the right answer, but we here and we got you, and it's better than the talk. So we'll see you all next time. Have a good evening, afternoon, or wherever you are at watching. Take care of yourself. Bye.
Bye.